Have you noticed as Pokemon card collectors that we all struggle with the same things? All of us want the newest, rarest, or items that are just simply expensive. But what if I told you I found a really great way to not only minimize those things, but accomplish them at a lower price point? In today's video, I'm gonna show you an absolutely amazing collection that I just put together. I wanted to prove to myself that I could build an extremely unique collection, not only that I can enjoy, but others could enjoy for under $100. But like all great collections, the first thing we need to figure out is what the hell are we gonna collect? Do we shoot for graded cards, singles, sealed product, plushies? What language are we gonna collect? I sat around and I thought about this for a really long time because I wanna have variety in the collection, multiple cards, great Pokemon, and we're doing this all with a very limited budget. I figured that one of the few ways that I could accomplish this would be by going with some of my favorite illustrators, because you can have all of those things as long as you pick pretty precisely. But I hadn't figured out the illustrators, I hadn't figured out the cards. I figured that the best thing to do would just be to jump in head first, because I did know one illustrator that I wanted to go with. Kicking it off with the first 3 cards in the collection, we're gonna start with Atsuko Nishida. I picked up this Plusle and Minun Holo Card Duo from Ruler of the Heavens for only $7.14. Plusle and Minun have so many great cards in the TCG, these being their first appearance and also my favorite. This next card was quite difficult to choose because I wasn't originally planning on adding it. I really wanted to add the Milotic from Undone Seal, but no matter which way I looked at it, where I looked for it, it was always way too expensive in an acceptable condition to add to the binder. So instead, I still went with a really great choice. I picked up this Unlimited Meganium from Golden Sky Silvery Ocean. I think that this card was a great choice because it's a textbook case of a card you don't see very often, and it characterizes Nishida's art style perfectly. 3 cards down, $87, and several cards to go. Now, let's break the rules just a little bit and stray away from some of the artists, because how can you have the ultimate Pokemon card collection without the Kanto starters? So I started searching online trying to figure out how I was gonna do this. I started by looking at my favorite arts of them on Cerebi, but they all ended up from different eras and it wouldn't have looked uniform in the binder. Regardless, I knew which Squirtle card that I was gonna go with, the Kusajima illustration from Miracle Crystal, the absolute best Squirtle artwork. And if you disagree, you're dusted.
No way!
I was searching online for that card specifically, and then I came across this lot for only $6.03. So like all great finds, it was a snap. The Charmander, the Bulbasaur, and the rest of the cards aren't my absolute favorite arts of them, but I still really like them, and they're gonna look great in the collection together. And since I already broke the rules around sticking to some of my favorite artists or specific types of cards, I wanted to continue adding a few more specific Pokemon, which leads us to the legendary dogs. And trust me, these cards will have you barking. Hey, and don't worry folks, I'll be here all week. I realistically had 2 choices that would have fit the budget. I could have gone with the 3 cards from Shining Darkness or these 3 from the Neo era. And I know, the WotC era pre-E series gets a lot of flack for the art not being good enough, but the thing is, the Neo era had some really unique art characteristics in regards to, there were several cards inside of it that if you combine them together, you can make one big art piece, such as the Lugia, the Ho-Oh, and the Skarmory, the Celebi, Sneasel, and Sudowoodo, the lesser known Eevee, Umbreon, and Espeon, and of course, the 3 legendary dogs. I found these for only $12.20, and for the condition that these came in, I thought this was a great deal. Now let's migrate back to the artist, actually my favorite artist, Hajime Kusajima. This was so frustrating once I got to this point because Kusajima has so many good cards and most of them would have just put us way over budget. I narrowed my choices down quite a bit and the first card that I decided to pick was the Sableye Holo from Miracle of the Desert, a crazy underrated artwork. Sableye is just one of those Pokemon that doesn't really have bad cards. And while we're here, let's go ahead and add another card from Miracle of the Desert, the Seviper. And I know that you're probably thinking, it's a Seviper. Who the hell wants a Seviper in their collection? I mean, who wouldn't want a Seviper in their collection? I mean, have you seen this? Look at this. I mean, god damn. The last card on the list from Kusajima is from one of my favorite eras in Pokemon, E-Series. I wasn't expecting to be able to pick up any E-Series holos and have more than just a few cards. So the fact that I was able to pick this up, I was really happy. But even though we picked up some cool cards and we have a good thing going, this is where things are gonna start to get a little bit tricky because we spent almost half of our budget, and I wanna add one more binder row of S-tier Pokemon. So we're gonna add a Gengar, Espeon, and Umbreon. With these Pokemon going into this, I knew that I was gonna be working with very limited options. Because of their popularity, a lot of their cards are just really expensive. So I figured that I was probably gonna have to stick to the Diamond and Pearl or the Platinum era, and I knew exactly where to go. I went to Moonlit Pursuit and Dawn Dash to pick up this Espeon and Umbreon. I found both of these cards in a listing for $6.89. For the Gengar, out of our limited options, I'm gonna go with my favorite choice, the Gengar GL from Bonds to the End of Time, illustrated by Kimura. Even though this isn't considered a staple card for Gengar, like some of the more expensive options, this is one of my favorites. It always shocks me how much value there is to be had out of the DP Platinum era of Pokemon, considering how expensive sealed packs are and certain graded cards are. And if you're curious on what I mean, follow along with me to the next binder row because it's absolutely insane how cheap some of these cards are. One of the cards I'm talking about is this Charmander from Intense Flight in the Destroyed Sky, which appeared in the English set Stormfront, which is much easier to say. But this card under $7 just seems like great value. Continuing on this DP Platinum era secret rare kick, we're gonna go with the Surfing Pikachu from Bonds to the End of Time. I picked this up for only $5.67. And I didn't look at comps, I didn't do anything else, I just bought it immediately. Because I knew that this card in a 9 sells for about 60 bucks, and these sealed packs go for close to 200, so it's just a super snap. I mean, it's a Pikachu that is surfing, and it's a secret rare. What questions are there to ask? Now for the most expensive card. This artwork is absolutely stunning. And just like the previous cards, it offers a ton of value. And it's also illustrated by Kusajima, so it gets extra points in my book for that. Now that we're almost complete with the collection and we have almost no money left, this is where things got really difficult. How can I make this binder look as complete as possible with only $6.72 left? I searched and searched and searched for options, looking through all the different illustrators, all different types of cards, and ended up just mindlessly scrolling through Bulbapedia. Then a light bulb went off. Which illustrator is notorious for making great cards and desirable non-holos? Kasube. I was able to find these 3 fantastic cards listed together with a few others for $5.89 to finally complete the binder page. I mean, just look at this Gyarados card, and we still have 83 cents left over. Instead of building a collection, if you're curious about cards that you were never intended to own, you can click this link here. I'll see you there.